She arrived home at 9:30, the time she was always there, especially on Thursdays, sometimes even earlier. It had become her routine, something predictable and steady, but tonight something felt off. Her husband, Kenny, was a man of routine too. Every Thursday, he came home at exactly 10:15, right after his lodge meeting. It was as consistent as the sunrise. Her father had introduced him to the lodge years ago, and though Kenny joined initially just to please both her and her father, he eventually found genuine enjoyment in it. The organizational aspects of the lodge appealed to his meticulous nature. He became deeply involved, planning fundraisers and social events, eventually earning a position on the board of governors. As chair of the scholarship committee, he worked tirelessly to raise funds, ensuring they could award 2 scholarships each year to deserving students at the local community college. It was something he was immensely proud of, and she often listened. As he shared updates about their progress during their quiet evenings together, most nights she waited up for him, always making sure she looked presentable when he came home. They'd sit together, talking about their day, discussing everything, from the scholarship fund to the little details of married life. Sometimes they'd make love, but more often than not, they simply held each other until they fell asleep. But tonight wasn't like the others. When she pulled into the driveway, her stomach sank. The garage doors were blocked. His car was parked at an odd angle, as if it had been abandoned in a hurry. Unease prickled at her skin. He had told her just minutes ago over the phone that he was home, yet his car's position didn't match his usual careful demeanor. She stepped out of her car, her senses on high alert. The house, their sanctuary, felt unfamiliar, almost hostile. It was a beautiful home, a 3-bedroom house with a wraparound porch that gave it an air of elegance. On warm summer nights, they'd often sit together on the swing beneath the ceiling fan, enjoying the gentle evening breeze. But tonight, the swing wasn't empty. "Kenny?" she called out, her voice trembling as she stepped onto the porch. He was sitting there, his figure cloaked in shadow, illuminated only by the faint glow of the living room lights filtering through the curtains. She hadn't noticed him at first, and the sight of him made her jump. "Jesus, Kenny, you scared." "Me," she said, trying to steady her voice. "Come on, let's go inside." "No," he replied softly, his voice steady but cold. "Sit with me for a while. Let's enjoy the breeze." He patted the empty spot next to him on the swing. Hesitant, she sat down, the weight of his silence pressing down on her. "Where have you been?" he asked, his tone deceptively calm. "You said you were home, but you weren't here when I arrived." She shifted uncomfortably, trying to come up with an excuse, but before she could respond, he continued. "I didn't feel like sleeping," he said, standing up and pacing. "I realized I was almost out of gas and didn't want to deal with it in the morning, so I drove to the corner market." Her heart raced. She prayed he hadn't noticed the quarter tank left in her car earlier. Then his words stopped her cold. "I could have sworn I saw you at the Hideaway Motel," he said, his voice tight with strain. "Room 69, is that where?" "You usually meet him?" Her breath caught in her throat. "Every Thursday from 6 p.m. to 9:30 p.m., he said, his voice eerily calm. "Isn't that right?" She wanted to deny it, but the way he gripped her hand, refusing to let go, told her he already knew the truth. "Relax, Les," he said. "I'm not going to hurt you." "But you promised me something once that you'd always tell me the truth. So now, I just need you to promise me one more thing. Let me speak, and when I'm done, it'll be your turn." She nodded weakly, tears streaming down her face. "When I first heard about it, I refused to believe it," he began. "A friend of yours sent me an anonymous email with photos of you and him at that motel. I ignored it at first, but the doubt, it grew. So I had someone watch the house. A friend. It wasn't easy to ask, and I doubt our friendship will ever recover." He showed me everything, Les. Pictures of you and Jerry coming and going, week after week. Her sobs grew louder, but he pressed his fingers gently to her lips. He said, you promised to let me finish. His voice broke as he recounted the betrayal. He spoke of the countless nights he had spent awake, replaying every detail in his mind, questioning everything they had built together. He played the recording. Her own voice, clear as day, sealed her fate. Of course it won't take long to get pregnant, the recording played. I love him, and I want to make sure it's his. 2 weeks after the doctor confirms I'm pregnant, you'll be with me again. She covered her face, sobbing uncontrollably as the weight of her actions came crashing down. You killed us, Les, he said, his voice filled with quiet anguish. You took everything we dreamed of our future, our family, and threw it away. And now I have to leave. I can't stay here. I can't look at you without remembering what you've done. He stood up, his voice trembling. This house we love so much, I'll sell it. Our dreams, our plans, they're gone. I'll find someone else, Les. Someone who will love me without lies. Someone who will respect me enough to stay faithful. And when I find her, I'll give her everything I once promised you. She reached for him, begging him to stay, but he gently removed her hand. Don't contact me, he said. Don't embarrass yourself or me. We're done. And with that, he walked away, leaving her alone on the porch, her sobs echoing in the quiet night. That was the end of their story. Let me know if this works for you or if you'd like further changes.